The President of the United States declared war on the Constitution and the rule of law. He put in charge of the Mueller investigation a man who said the investigation should either be extremely limited, starved of money, or stopped. And at the same time, he said that if the House of Representatives, now controlled by Democrats, does its constitutional job of oversight, that he will take a warlike attitude towards them. So what he said is, he is above the law. The special prosecutor can't touch him. The Congress of the United States cannot follow the Constitution and oversee him. So you know what that makes this? That makes this our time. Because the only thing that is going to make the elected leaders of this country stand up to this lawless president is if the people of the United States say to them, you get rid of him or we'll get rid of you.
And guess what? Nobody is going to come close to beating me in 2020.
Even weighing the possibility that you may run for president.
I will do literally anything.
Mike, will you be my running mate?
Well, I think I've been toned down. You want to know the truth? I could really tone it up.
Will you? Thank you. Okay, good. The answer is yes. Okay.
1, 2, boom, boom.
I'm going to tell you this. I'd rather be us than them.
Almost 250 years ago, 2 lanterns were hung here to warn of the incoming attack on America. Today, we have to acknowledge what our president won't. Our democracy is under attack again. If Paul Revere and other patriots had waited to act until it was safe or politically correct, we would never have the country we have today. It's time for Congress, Republicans and Democrats, to put their political interests aside and act on behalf of our country.
But part of the largest threat today is President Trump. He is attacking everything we believe in New York. He's attacking a woman's right to choose. He's attacking immigration. He's attacking the rights of working men and women. He has to be stopped.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant.
Senator, I have a right to know what your position is on Brett Kavanaugh.
God bless you, ma'am.
I'm a survivor of sexual assault, ma'am.
We believe survivors. We believe survivors. We believe survivors. God bless you.
Excuse me. Let my wife through.
He threw their leftovers at them? I didn't know that.
Vote you out. Vote you out. Vote you out. Vote you out.
In a department store, at a gasoline station.
Shame! 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 You belong in The Hague! You belong in The Hague! You're a modern-day Nazi! Shame! Shame! Shame!
You get out and you create a crowd!
If you care at all about women's choice, vote no on Kavanaugh. Don't be a dumb you also.
If you vote for him, you are standing there feckless woman, standing there letting Trump and his appointees steal health care from millions of Americans, steal the right to choose what women do with their bodies. And you stood by there. Oh, I didn't know. I'm so naive. You.
I will say, when they're talking about life and death issues, they're talking about women's rights to choose, they're talking about whether or not you can have health care, pre-existing conditions. These are things that can lead people to die.
And that was from 2 men, which I think really shows how this is an issue that's not just affecting women, it affects families all over the country.
What would you do if Donald Trump showed up at this rally? Murder him?
If it came down to it and it was a group effort,
We'd have to do him like Gaddafi.
This is not a time to curl up. It is not a time to shut up. It is not a time to give up. It's a time to get up, to rise up, to speak up. It's time for you not to wait for hope, but to be the hope.
What am I going to do to you? What I'm going to do to you is fair. I'm going to do to you what you did to us.
And ABC News can now project that Democrats will win enough seats to gain control of the House. Democrats will pick up at least 23 seats in the House.
Again, CNN can now project that Democrats will win the majority in the U.S. House of Representatives. Jake, this is a huge win for the Democrats, a huge setback for the president and for the Republicans.
It is, and this is going to be a big problem for President Trump going forward. If he thinks that the media is annoying, wait till he meets a Democratic House that has subpoena power and actually has the legal ability to force them to turn over documents.
To continue to investigate the financial dealings, are you going to issue subpoenas? Are you going to try to get him to use subpoenas?
We don't know. We will deal with that when we come to it.
Democrats are loading what they are calling a subpoena cannon.
The subpoenas are coming for President Trump and his administration. Axios reports Democrats are loading a subpoena cannon with a list of at least 85 investigations they want to pursue.
Should the majority look into these issues related to President Trump that has come up? The Space Force.
Yes.
James Comey's firing.
Yes.
The travel ban.
Yes.
The family separation policy.
Absolutely.
Hurricane relief in Puerto Rico.
Oh.
White House staff use of personal email.
Oh, for sure.
The president's business dealings abroad.
Absolutely. And I want to see his tax return.
Yesterday at about 3:45 in the afternoon, a suspicious package was found inside the mailbox of a home owned by billionaire philanthropist and Democratic mega donor George Soros.
For people in the rulers, the Bitcoin is not a currency.
Mr. Soros was reportedly not at home at the time, and the FBI continues to investigate, but this comes at a time when Soros' name has been recently evoked by right-wing activists.
Don't get me started on George Soros.
And on your way out, you can tell the Democrats George Soros and the angry mob that's coming here, you either come the right way like everyone else or be ready to face the military and a one-way ticket back to where you came from.
The three individuals who are funding the Democratic Party, George Soros, Michael Bloomberg, then Tom Steyer's, more than $120 million. He brags that his impeachment list is bigger than the NRA list. Those three individuals are trying to buy our government.
George Soros, the billionaire Democratic fundraiser who has long been villainized in certain right-wing circles.
Billionaire George Soros bankrolls the resistance.
He's been the target of anti-Semitic smears and is often at the center of conspiracy theories.
Who's behind the puppets? Who's the puppet master? George Soros.
Longtime investor and philanthropist became the target of misinformation and conspiracies starting in the 1990s. Extremists in the U.S. and Europe cast him as a central figure in a secret cabal of Jews and globalists working to take over the world.
A frontman for the House of Rothschild called George Soros, Bilderberg Group.
Soros makes huge bets on whole countries and economies. Last year, when he saw cracks in the Asia boom, he began selling the currency in Thailand. Traders in Hong Kong followed suit, triggering a financial crisis that plunged much of Asia into a depression.
In the last 2 years, you've been blamed for financial collapse of Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, Japan, and Russia.
All of the above.
All of the above.
Yeah. I think that I've been blamed for everything. I am basically there to make money. I cannot and do not look at the social consequences of what I do.
First, on Ukraine, one of the things that many people recognized about you was that you, during the revolutions of 1989, funded a lot of dissident activity, civil society groups in Eastern Europe, in Poland, the Czech Republic. Are you doing similar things in Ukraine?
Well, I set up a foundation in Ukraine before Ukraine became independent of Russia. And the foundation has been functioning ever since. And it played an important part in events now.
Went out, in fact, and helped in the confiscation of property from the Jews.
That's right. Yes.
I mean, that sounds like an experience that would send lots of people to the psychiatric couch for many, many years. Was it difficult?
Not at all. Not at all. Maybe as a child you don't see the connection, but it created no problem at all.
No feeling of guilt.
No.
Explosive devices, and to have projectiles, I mean, that sounds like a fire alarm here. We'll keep you posted on that. But to have projectiles, that is a feature you will often.
We're going to jump in. There's a fire alarm here.
You might have heard it in the background. We're going to find out what the latest is
we'll be
here
right back.
at CNN. We're going to be right back.
This is CNN Breaking News.
And good morning. I'm Renee Marsh in Washington, D.C. We are following some developing breaking news. We can tell you at this hour, the Time Warner building in New York City has been evacuated.
Renee, I will just tell you that we are outside safely. All of our CNN colleagues that we know of are outside.
Threats like this that may be tied to terrorism, they say that the device is inside the CNN building.
This is an NBC News special report. Here's Lester Holt.
Good day, everyone. We're coming on the air to bring you the latest on the news this morning that suspicious packages, possibly explosive devices, according to the Secret Service, have been found in mail sent to former President Barack Obama and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, and that the Manhattan offices of CNN have been evacuated after another suspicious package was found in that company's mailroom.
So, Lester, we know of at least 4 suspicious packages, all containing what appear to be pipe bombs, all of them sent through the mail. The Secret Service says one was addressed to Hillary Clinton at the Clintons' home in Westchester County, New York.
Tonight at a campaign rally in Wisconsin, the crowds awaiting President Trump are not holding back. Take a look at what just happened in the light of today's attempted attack on Hillary Clinton.
I'm reading this and on the trading floor of the New York Stock Exchange, according to Carl Quintanilla, people were booing, shouting, "Lock her up."
The bolts on, 10 bolts down on George Soros.
And based upon the outrage of Congress, I happen to believe Hillary is going down.
You can just hear the beginning of the chanting there. It was lock her up, lock her up.
The new world order, and George Soros bought them off. George Soros controls all the newspapers.
No.
Hillary is going down. Secondly,
Surrogate laughing along to the chance of lock her up. I am joined now by Tom Steyer, who himself, like George Soros, happens to be a billionaire with a lot of money going towards Democratic causes. He's given over $40 million, more than Soros, this cycle. He's given over $40 million, more than Soros, this cycle.
And I'm very concerned about the safety and health of everybody that I work with, but I don't think that we can let this kind of terrorism change our participation in the American political system and in our democracy. This is an inevitable result of the overheated and violent rhetoric that we've been hearing from Mr. Trump and Republicans for years, including that chant that you just played of lock her up. The Republican Party has specifically gone past the bounds of custom, past the bounds of what is acceptable in political life. He's sowed the wind, he's reaping the whirlwind. Can he really control the kind of anger and the kind of violence that he has incited, that he has promoted, that has been part of his appeal from the very beginning?
Right now, explosive technicians are on the scene of a USPS facility in the Bay Area after receiving a suspicious package.
This development just moments after police in Florida arrested a man accused of sending these packages.
And it certainly attracted the attention of people who may not have noticed him on social media, but right down the road, you could see them anytime you went by. And some people were so interested in this, they actually stopped and took photographs of it and put it online saying, look at this, I've seen this truck here. Let's look at this front window and some of the details of that window. If you see it here, you can see that the top is basically support for Mike Pence and Donald Trump, that whole team there. The second line, sort of inexplicably, is mainly about sports, although there's some reference to Trump in there, but it has to do with a boxing match and that sort of thing. But then when you get to the bottom part here, Jake, that's when you start getting into the really sort of nasty stuff. This corner down here, that's where you see the crosshairs on Hillary Clinton, on a picture of Barack Obama on a tricycle, on the filmmaker Michael Moore, on Jill Stein from the Green Party, from our own Van Jones here about CNN, and other images that have a very sharp sense that these people somehow need to be targeted.
We know that there's one that was being investigated today that was addressed to Tom Steyer, who is a Democratic fundraiser donor.
The package was addressed to Tom Steyer, a well-known Trump critic and billionaire hedge fund manager. Moments ago, he released a statement saying in part, quote, "We are seeing a systematic attack on our democracy and our rule of law that extends much further than just one isolated terrorist in Florida. It's time for the Republican Party to denounce any attacks on the rights and dignity of any American and begin to work on building the broadest and most comprehensive democracy possible for each and every American."
Tom Steyer, who joins me now. Tom, thanks for being here. We're really glad you're okay. So a Republican would argue, you say that, Tom, but there was a shooting of Republican members of Congress last year by it seemed a Bernie Sanders supporter. What appear to be toxic substances or hoax toxic substances have been sent to Donald Trump Jr. and his family, Senator Susan Collins, that it's not just Republican lawlessness here. What would your response to that be?
I would say there has been bad behavior on both sides, but you can't find prominent Democrats, elected officials who refuse to condemn it. You don't find prominent Democrats who are leading chants with violent overtones like "lock her up."
He has to be stopped.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant.
Even a conservative thing who I was speaking of yesterday said the only way to repair America is to try to get back to some civility and to try to make it that even if we have political disagreements, we're not going to war with each other. We're not trying to destroy each other.
Well, certainly I would love to see us return to civility, listening to one another. That you cannot be civil with a political party that wants to destroy what you stand for, what you care about. The only thing that the Republicans seem to recognize and respect is strength. And you heard how the Republican members, led by Mitch McConnell, the president.
What's it going to look like if he gets his pick? If Trump gets what he wants here? What's the court going to look like for the next 30 years?
We're looking at a destruction of the Constitution of the United States.
You don't find prominent Democrats who are leading chants with violent overtones like "lock her up," CNN sucks, all the kinds of attempts to play to people's strongest emotions.
It sounds like you are blaming President Trump to a degree for the bomb that was sent to you. Is that fair?
There's obviously no direct link, Jake, but I'm absolutely associating and blaming him for creating the atmosphere that exists. The reason that I've started and have been running an impeachment petition drive is because, in my opinion, he is corrupt and lawless and dangerous.
Now, President Trump, no doubt, were he here, would say, you've accused President Trump of treason. You've said he committed a traitorous act of war. You suggested that, quote, nuclear war might turn public opinion against the president, though you did take that remark back. What would you say to somebody who says you are creating some of this environment as well?
I would say exactly what I said to you a couple minutes ago, Jake. That when someone does something wrong, particularly the President of the United States, it is absolutely incumbent on people to openly oppose him and use constitutional means to do that. And so, for instance, when the president looks at a UN report that promises unimaginable suffering. The UN just told us we have 12 years to deal with our climate crisis, or we will face unimaginable suffering. And what they said was, we don't have to give it a try. We have to complete the task or face unimaginable suffering, was their word. Unimaginable suffering. And by the way, as a Californian, we're seeing some suffering. 44 people. No. Seriously. We're seeing a president, a commander-in-chief, with evidence that Americans are going to face unimaginable suffering, and saying, not only am I not going to alleviate that or deal with that, I'm going to make it worse. Alex, the UN said 12 years to solve climate, or we will have unimaginable suffering. Unimaginable suffering. And do I think that with 12 years to go, we need to get rid of him, or we will have unimaginable suffering? Yeah. So let's start telling the truth here. It means the inundation of coastlines, fires, floods, and droughts. Honestly, it sounds like the Bible. The only thing that we have left is a cloud of grasshoppers flying over the United States of America. It promises unimaginable suffering to the American people and scoffs at it. That seems to me to be the most abject dereliction of duty that in the history of the country.
And so the president sees that. He watches a lot of television. Just watch Wacky Tom Steyer, who I've not seen in action before, be interviewed by Jake Tapper. He comes off as a crazed and stumbling lunatic who should be running out of money pretty soon. As bad as their field is, if he's running for president, the Dems will eat him alive.
My administration has accomplished more than almost any administration in the history of our country. America's so true. Didn't expect that reaction, but that's okay. If the failing New York Times has an anonymous editorial, can you believe it? Anonymous, meaning gutless, a gutless editorial. We're doing a great job. The poll numbers are through the roof. Our poll numbers are great. And guess what? Nobody is going to come close to beating me in 2020 because of what we've done. We've done more than anybody ever thought possible in, it's not even 2 years. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Just take a look at what Harry Reid said in 1993. And guess what? Before he went insane, he got it right.
He took the job. And then he said, I'm going to recuse myself. I said, what kind of a man is this? And by the way, he was on the campaign. Sleepy eyes Chuck Todd. He's a sleeping son of a bitch, I'll tell you. Sit down. I didn't call you. I didn't call you.
Michael Cohen recently said you called black voters stupid.
That's false.
Omarosa has accused you of using the N-word, and the rapper Little John has said you called him Uncle Tom. What's your response?
I don't know who Little John is. But there was somebody that I thought was just an amazing player, and I think you two guys would say it. He was special. Little John, come up here. I'm going to give Little John $100,000. Okay? Just take it. Great job. Great job. I don't know who Little John is.
He was on The Apprentice.
I don't know. Oh, he was? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Have you ever-
CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. She's shocked that I picked her.
No.
She's like in a state of shock.
I'm not thinking, Mr.
That's
President.
okay. I know you're not thinking. You never do.
I'm sorry?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Do you expect Matt Whitaker to be involved in the Russia probe? Do you want him to...
It's up to him.
Do you want him to rein in Robert Mueller?
What a stupid question that is. What a stupid question. But I watch you a lot. You ask a lot of stupid questions.
But still, there is something so wrong with this. It is beyond disturbing. It is ugly, and I'm angry.
Take a look at the CNN polls, how inaccurate they were. That's called voter suppression. Although we have a representative in Congress who they say was here a long time ago. They call her Pocahontas. But you know what? I like you.
We will take that little kid and say, but we have to do it gently. Because we're in the Me Too generation, so we have to be very gentle. And we will very gently take that kid and we will slowly toss it. I will give you $1 million to your favorite charity, paid for by Trump, if you take the test and it shows you're an Indian.
Today, Mr. Trump cited criticism by the Cherokee Nation, saying even they don't want her. The tribe denounced Warren's decision to take a DNA test as inappropriate and wrong, and said she's undermining tribal interests.
I'm not enrolled in a tribe, and only tribes determine tribal citizenship. I understand and respect that distinction, but my family history is my family history.
Releasing this video showing her receiving the results of a DNA test.
What do the facts say?
The facts suggest that you absolutely have a Native American ancestor in your pedigree.
Those Republicans, man, they got a lot going their way. Oh, you bet they did. But I'm going to tell you this. I'd rather be us than them. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. They may have the money. They may have the power right now. But there's a whole lot more of us than there is of them.
But the report suggests she's just a fraction Native American.
Senator Warren released some of her DNA results that show a strong likelihood that she does have Native American roots.
How much? 1,000?
Do you owe her an apology?
No, I don't.
What about the money that
I owe her. She owes the country an apology.
What about the money that you told her you would?
You mean if she gets the nomination in a debate where I was going to have her tested?
She'll destroy the country. She'll make our country into Venezuela. With that being said, I don't want to say bad things about her because I hope she would be one of the people that would get through the process. It's going to be a long process for the Democrats.
Let's say I'm running against Pocahontas or Crazy Bernie. I tell you, I got to hand it to Bernie. I saw him up there the other day. That hair is getting whiter and whiter, and he's getting crazier and crazier. And I saw him. We'll stop Donald Trump. We're stopping him. We're going to stop. And I looked at my wife. I said, you know what? You got to hand it to that guy. Man, that guy, he doesn't quit. And that's okay. Crazy Bernie. I watched Hillary last night with we're going to give this, we're going to give that, we're going to give that. The poor woman, she's got to give everything away because this maniac that was standing on her right is giving everything away. So she's following. That's what's happening. This socialist / communist, okay? Nobody wants to say it. Stone cold phony named Robert Francis O'Rourke, sometimes referred to as Beto.
Senator Cruz is not going to be honest with you. He's going to make up positions and votes that I've never held or have ever taken. He's dishonest. It's why the president called him Lying Ted, and it's why the nickname stuck, because it's true. Lying Ted.
Lying Ted. It's why the president called him Lying Ted.
O'Rourke is highly overrated. When I heard about him, I figured he must be something a little special. He's not. I thought he got beaten badly in the debates. I think he's a highly overrated guy.
2020.
Right.
You're running?
Yes, 100%.
Michael Bloomberg might be running?
That's good.
Yeah?
Yeah, sure. I think it'd be easy. I think it'd be so easy.
How do you think
I don't think he'll get through. Well, I don't think he'll get through the Democrats.
In other words, he wouldn't be able to do anything in the primaries because of where the party's going?
I think the Democrats will eat him up. You know, you have a lot of people running. I'm hearing names that are shockingly bad, but they're nasty.
We've got to engage people. I will be working full-time for social justice. We can do this. Americans need a government of, by, and for the people. We are not going to win this in one step. We're going to have to win something, and then we're going to have to win something, and then we're going to have to win something. That is democracy.
A billionaire worth $1.6 billion. Is that accurate, or is a little bit low? Or did you not want to?
That's what people have been saying for a long time. I've never contradicted it.
All right, so we're not going to start now.
Via Facebook, and she asks, what specific laws has Trump broken as president? Why hasn't he been accountable? And what can be done to hold him accountable? 3 questions.
Well, I'll do this as fast as I can.
What positive agenda, rather than just being obstructionist, are we going to do? I mean, are we going to invest more in public transportation? What positive agenda, rather than just being obstructionist, are we going to do? I mean, are we going to invest more in public transportation?
I am a really competitive American. I do not like to see Americans suffer. I do not like to see Americans fail. I don't like to see America fail. I don't like it when I go places and I realize we are not the leaders of the free world. That makes me crazy. I do not like it when I realize that Americans don't have the opportunities to succeed the way they should, and we aren't going to succeed as a country the way we should.
Sounds to me like you're running.
If yellow means caution, then watch out. California billionaire Tom Steyer has flown in yellow-shirted paid operatives to trick you into signing his petition that will double your utility bills. Be on alert. Decline to sign. Visit he'sgotasecret.com.
Why would a California hedge fund billionaire want to change Arizona's constitution? Tom Steyer wants you to fund his latest scheme by doubling your utility bills. Protect Arizona and say no to the California billionaire. Decline to sign his petition.
California hedge fund billionaire Tom Steyer thinks we don't pay enough for our electricity. This liberal activist wants to force costly California energy regulations on Arizona, making the power our families need more expensive and less reliable, doubling our utility bills. Now, Tom Steyer is pushing his energy scheme and spending millions to fool Arizonans and permanently cement his regulations into our state constitution. Don't make California's mistake. Tell Tom Steyer Arizona's not for sale.
Heat Crank K.
You've seen the ads. They're almost impossible to miss.
But Prop 127 is our chance to break the cycle of higher fees and rates.
Tens of millions of dollars are being spent to wage a war for your vote on Proposition 127.
I'm worried about Proposition 127.
More solar, more savings.
So what exactly does Proposition 127 actually do? Well, it would amend the state's constitution and it would require private utility companies to produce half of their power, half of their electricity with renewable resources by the year 2030. Now, those renewable resources could include water, air, and solar. Now, supporters hope if this proposition passes, it would reduce the state's use of traditional power sources like coal, natural gas, and nuclear power.
127 pulls the plug on their racket and saves it.
So who is supporting this initiative? Tom Steyer, a billionaire from California, is the driving force. But he's probably best known for his commercials calling for the impeachment of President Donald Trump.
And threatened to shut down news organizations that report the truth. If that isn't a case for impeaching and removing a dangerous president.
And leading the opposition is the state's largest power company, Arizona Public Service, or APS, which happens to run the Palo Verde Nuclear Generating Station.
Hello, I'm Tom Steyer. Do you know why Arizona, America's sunniest state, only gets 6% of its electricity from solar? Because a monopoly called APS makes higher profits from selling dirty energy, thanks to the dirty politicians in their pocket. APS's greed is insatiable. Arizona's elected officials are supposed to protect customers from APS's greed, but they're in office thanks to campaign contributions from APS. Now APS is spending millions of their customers' dollars on a political campaign against a clean energy ballot measure that would save their customers money and reduce pollution. That stinks. And it shows just how corrupt the political establishment is. But you can do something about it. Please join us and take action by voting this November.
And voters also deciding on several issues this election, one of them Prop 127, the Renewable Energy Initiative. That measure rejected by voters tonight.
I think the other point that we're seeing is that the benefits of solar and wind, which are free, become even greater compared to natural gas when natural gas prices go up. And let me say, I think the trend is up. There are international forces which are going to continue to push natural gas prices higher. And what that means for the United States is we shouldn't spend any more time investing in natural gas infrastructure. From now on, our best bet by far is to invest in renewable resources, which is solar and wind, and let the fossil fuel technologies be what they are and belong to what they belong to, which is the past.
So when you talk about environmental, I am truly an environmentalist. A lot of people smile when they hear that, but I have the cleanest air, and I'm going to have the cleanest air. But that doesn't mean we have to put every one of our businesses out of business.
The president tweeted, "Brutal and extended cold blast could shatter all records. Whatever happened to global warming?"
The assessment from 13 federal agencies asking the administration to take urgent action against dire threats and curb climate change to avoid substantial damages to the U.S. economy, environment, and human health.
Unimaginable suffering. Unimaginable suffering was their word. Unimaginable suffering. The UN said 12 years to solve climate or we will have unimaginable suffering. Unimaginable suffering.
Does seeing this devastation, though, change your opinion at all on climate change, Mr. President?
No. I have a strong opinion. I want great climate. We're going to have that, and we're going to have forests that are very safe. Because we can't go through this every year. We go through this, so we're going to have safe forests, and that's happening as we speak. I've seen it. I've read some of it, and it's fine.
Did they say economic impact is devastating?
Yeah, I don't believe it. No, I don't believe it. And here's the other thing. You're going to have China and Japan and all of Asia and all of these other countries, addresses our country. Right now, we're at the cleanest we've ever been, and that's very important to me. But if we're clean, but every other place on earth is dirty, that's not so good. I'm back in the center of the American heartland, far away from the Washington swamp, to spend time with thousands of true American patriots.
So today, on our 1-year anniversary, thanks to Ivita and JoJo and you and a bunch of other patriots, we are the largest active list in American politics. When we go around the country, the overwhelming impulse of the people who show up is straight up patriotism. They're worried about the system.
And he's fed up. He's fed up of the waste, the inefficiency, and frankly, the stupidity that's out there. So it's great to see him in there. It's great to see him so passionate about it. And it's great to see the people's reaction to him. They realize now on the campaign trail, he's not this corporate juggernaut kind of guy. He's a guy like them. He's an American and he's a patriot.
But over time, I saw the private sector gaining more and more power. It began to set the rules for itself, not supporting civil society, setting its own rules for its own sake. And as corporate lobbyists took control of our government, they shifted American society away from serving the common good and towards serving their own bottom lines. Corporations started to see even their own employees as nothing more than costs to be minimized. And the more I saw them do that, the more it bothered me. And over time, I stopped seeing even my own work at my firm as pushing the economic gears of a just society. I saw that not only was I advantaged, but that those advantages didn't extend to most Americans, and the system wasn't helping. It was rigged against average Americans. So I left. I gave up my license to trade, and I took what's known as the Giving Pledge.
Much of it is the result of an ambitious and targeted campaign called the Giving Pledge. It was started by an influential trio, Bill and Melinda Gates and Warren Buffett.
We're asking them to be bold. We're asking them to step out and to do something big, but a lot of them were already on their way there and just hadn't put a numeric number behind it. And I think now also the Giving Pledge has gotten going, people know that's the expectation.
Yeah, we don't find a lot of people who say, "Why join if it was 40%?"
Yeah.
To give away the majority of my money during my life. And since making that change, I've devoted my life to trying to put the united back in the United States of America.
I don't know how you can impeach somebody who's done a great job. I'll tell you what, if I ever got impeached, I think the market would crash. I think everybody would be very poor, because without this thinking, you would see numbers that you wouldn't believe in reverse.
History is watching us now. It's waiting to see if we will rise to the occasion.
Just win, baby.
And if we will show the whole world that America is still free and independent and strong. I am with you. I will fight for you. And I will win for you. I am your voice.
Get up and please get up in the face of some Congress people.
They wanted me to walk up.
Look, folks, I got it.
And that creates an atmosphere where anything can bubble up and anything is bubbling. Here comes the sucker.
Boy, y'all want power. God, I hope you never get it.